Do you ever have that feeling that you just suck as a musician? I've gone through that so many times, and I've been playing drums for like 25 years. So in this video, I'm gonna give you 7 signs, and if you tick these boxes, that proves that you are above average as a musician. Starting with sign number 1, you listen more than you play. The key part of being a musician is that you can listen to others or other styles of music or other people when you're playing in a band, and you can adapt to whatever is happening there. And the more you listen to music and the more you listen to other musicians play, the better you get as a musician. Because the key point here is that the best musicians are better listeners than they are musicians. Before I get on to the next sign, if you're a musician who wants help getting better, go check out the Musora platform. There's a link in the description of this video that gives you a free 30-day trial for it. It says Drumeo there, which is like their main thing, is that they teach drums and they get all the best pro drummers in the world to come give courses and stuff. But as you sign up for that, you also get access to the guitar platform, the singing platform, and the piano platform. And it's all free for 30 days. So go check it out, link in the description, and let's move on. Sign number 2 that you're way above average as a musician is you create, not just copy. So this kind of is the natural progression from the first thing we spoke about, is the best musicians listen to a lot of music and they take what they hear and they adapt it to themselves. What beginners typically do is you learn to play an instrument and like there's a drum beat and you learn to play that drum beat by copying. And that's how you learn. That's just like, that's good. That's what you're supposed to do. But as you get better as a musician, you start to develop your own voice and your own way of doing things. So you can listen to a song and take what you meant to play from that song if you copy it, but apply your own way to it. And that's creating, not just directly copying. Even if you're a drummer, you can sit on the drums and create parts yourself without just directly like templating parts from other drummers playing things. This is just like a life lesson, like be your own person, but that transfers to our instruments where we are our own musicians, our own players in what we do. And that's what makes you like unique. If someone wants to play with you, if you join a band or something, you need to be in a position where you sound different and you have an attractive quality to how you play compared to someone else. So if you have that and like you have a distinct style of playing your instrument, that makes you above the average musician, where most musicians under that line, we're all sounding the same because we're all learning in the same way. Next sign that you're above average as a musician, you have flow. So this is a big word in the drumming world. I don't know if it's a big word in like the music world, but it should be. The term flow just means how you flow on your instrument. That didn't really explain it, but if I sit on the drums and I just play, and I play well and things just come out and it sounds cool, that means I have good flow. And having good flow is how you like improvise firstly, and then how you create things, because you create things out of what you're just flowing out of your hands or your feet. So like my dad's a really good guitar player. So if we just sit down and I lay down a groove and he just chooses whatever key to play in and he just rips a solo and he's just playing, he's flowing out whatever ideas are just coming out of his hands. And the way to get to that point is to be so proficient at your instrument that you can improvise freely with it. And that means you have good flow when you can improvise. And all pro musicians ever have good flow because they can do that. They can all, like let's say we take 5 people, they all play different instruments, we put them in one band, you kind of agree on like what type of thing you're playing and what key it's in and all that stuff, and everyone just starts and they play, like especially in the jazz world, things will just come out and it will sound cool. And because all those like musicians have like a good flow like in their playing, that makes them be able to do that. Whereas a musician who is below average, who can't just freely improvise, they will need more structure to like what to play, and they'll need more help. I kind of think of church musicians when I say this. So a lot of like small churches, all the musicians will get on stage and have a music stand, and they'll have the chord charts, and then after every song they'll mix it up, and then they have to like play and look in there. Whereas the better musicians will not need that, because they know where the music's going, they know all the numbers of what the chord changes are and all that stuff, and because they can just do that naturally, they don't need to like follow a sheet that's telling them what to do. They can just feel it and they can just flow with it. Sign number 4 that you're above average as a musician, you can play different styles of music. So this also links to sign number 1, is that you listen to a lot of music, but now take it up to the next level. You can actually play different styles of music. The best thing you can do as a musician is learn to play different styles and then adapt all those styles into your own thing, which like makes your own voice. Also, if you like want to be a pro musician and just be hired, you'll make more money if you can play different styles rather than being like the jazz guy. There are so many people I know like locally that just play jazz drums, and they just find all the jazz gigs and they're struggling to make ends meet because they just want to play jazz. And it's actually, I don't know if like jazz people in particular have massive like egos, and they don't want to play other music because they think jazz is like the best music that exists, and they don't want to like They don't want to taint themselves by going and playing like a country gig. And that just is not cool. And if those guys were to expose themselves to other styles of music, they would actually become better jazz drummers, because the more you take from different sources, the more inspo you can apply to yourself, like I said, and you become a better musician in that way. Sign number 5, that you're above average, you make everyone around you sound better. I'm gonna go back to church as an example for this. I don't know if you've been in this situation, but you'll get small churches where everyone is like a volunteer on the worship team, and usually they are just kind of hobbyist musicians, and like the guitar player will just be there, like they know the chords of the song, the pianist will know the chords of the song, and they can all like practice on a Thursday night. But then one musician will join the worship team because he like just joined the church, but he's an actual like pro musician, and what ends up happening is that guy will then like get on the drums, and the whole worship team will start sounding way better because of how confident he is, because of how he leads the band and how he's playing, and he just makes everyone sound better. Even though they're like average musicians and he's the pro musician, they start to become like pro sounding musicians because of how he gels the band together. So if you are that musician who can join a band and make everyone around you sound much better because of how you play, that means that you're above the average musician, because that is a key skill to have, and it's just something that happens when you get good at playing your instrument. Up next, space and dynamics. These are actually 2 points, but I'm going to just put them into this 1 point. Firstly, space. The best musicians know exactly when to play and when not to play, and that is the whole point of music, is you have notes, and you have loud notes, and you have soft notes, and you have no notes, and you use all of those together to create music. And a lot of times beginners don't know when not to play, and they will just play. So in the drumming world, someone will play drums, let's say they'd like play a drum solo, and what they end up doing, if they're not like that experienced, is that drum solo will just be like notes, and people will think it's cool for like 5 seconds, but then get really over it like after 2 minutes of just notes. Whereas if the drummer used space and created like a story by like playing and then not playing, it would sound so much better, and it would sound so much more musical. And it's the same thing. I'll just keep going back to church here because this is like on my mind at the moment. You get a lot of pianists that will see the chords on like the sheet that they have there, and instead of just playing chords in like quarter notes and just going like A, C, they'll go boom, and then they'll start tinkling around because they feel like they have to fill the space like in between playing those chords, where if it was just simple, it would be more powerful. And that happens all the freaking time in church where like average musicians are all coming together to play together. And then to tag onto that dynamics, like the louds and the softs, that's music. Things are loud, things are soft, you go up and down. That's what creates like the musical dynamic, and that's kind of what makes music. Sign number 7, that you are above average as a musician, you can recover from mistakes. So this is something that jazz drummers absolutely focus on, is that if they make a mistake, they do it again, and then again, and then again, and then again. There's this phrase in the jazz world that repetition legitimizes. So if someone hears you make a mistake, but then you do it again, they're gonna think you made that intentionally and it wasn't actually a mistake. And as a musician, if you're above average, that's what you can do, because we all make mistakes, we're just humans, and like you'll make mistakes all the time. And if you take that mistake and just make something out of it and you like recover from it, you are a good musician. You're way above the average. Whereas what ends up happening with average musicians or people below average beginners, they'll make a mistake and they'll get completely fuzzled, and like it will throw them off, and then they'll end up making more mistakes, and like that's just the worst, man. So you just need to take mistakes and then just repeat them, do them again, or take that mistake and launch it into something else based on how you played that mistake. So on the drums, if I'm playing around and I accidentally hit the rim, I'm gonna go hit the rim again, and then everyone's gonna think I was meant to hit the rim that time, because like repetition legitimizes. So there are 7 basic signs that you're above average as a musician. There are a million more that I want you to tell me in the comments that I probably haven't mentioned. Let me know where you are on the list that I gave you, and then let me know what I missed. And then again, if you want to get better at your instrument, go check out Musora. There are lessons there from like the best pro musicians in the world, and it's a free 30-day trial. You get 30 days, a full month of just free musician like educational content where you can learn a lot from. Go check it out. Links in the description, and then I will see everyone in the next video.